The question for this presentation is you are planning to incorporate a company in Singapore and you also have your own company in your foreign country, and you are unable to decide whether you should personally take shareholding in this new proposed Singapore entity or your company in home country should take the shareholding. So just to make the scenario clear, let's take one example. So you are holding already a company. So this home icon I'm sure representing as a company. So you or your group of friends or relatives, you own that company, and now you are planning to incorporate a company in Singapore, which is represented in this red color home icon. Now the question is the shareholding of the Singapore company, whether it should be taken in individual name by all the shareholders from your home country, or should it be taken by the company in your home country. So if you take shareholders as an individual, then it will be called as an independent LLC, limited liability company. In case your home country company takes the shareholding, then the Singapore entity will be called as subsidiary and your company in home country will be called as a parent entity. So this is a dilemma and many times investors are unable to decide. So in this video I will give you some guidelines. So first thing to note is in this scenario, there are some circumstances where corporate shareholding is obvious. That means you do not have any option to take shareholding in the personal name of the shareholders. So, what are those scenarios? The first scenario is when the parent company is doing the investment. So, if the funding that is to be used for this Singapore entity incorporation is being given by the company in home country, so it is going from the bank account of that company, then obviously that company will need to get in return the shareholding of this Singapore entity. You cannot make the payment from a company and then ask shareholding to be issued in the personal name. That is legally not allowed. So this is first scenario. The second scenario is that parent company might be a listed company. So obviously if parent company is listed, then it is technically is having many shareholders. And if Singapore company is going to work closely with parent entity, that is the one which is shown in yellow color here, and if it is taking significant benefit of parent company's business presence, then obviously again the shareholding has to be given to the corporate entity and not to the individuals. The next scenario is that parent company has many investors. So it is not listed but it has many investors. So it is practically not possible to issue shares again in the name of all the shareholders of the parent entity. And maybe parent company has a sizable business and that business clout is what Singapore a company is going to use for the development of market. For example, sometimes what happens that the parent company, let's say there is a company in UK, and they already have a significant presence in UK, and using those contacts, a Singapore company here is expected to grow the market in Asia Pacific region. So if that's the case, in a way, Singapore entity is using the reputation of the company in UK, and therefore shareholding naturally has to go to your company in UK. So in these cases, the shareholding has to be taken in the name of the company and it cannot be given in the name of the individual. Now, if it happens that the company has a small business presence, if the parent company, so the company in your home country has a small business presence, and there are limited number of shareholders involved, then obviously a dilemma comes whether the shareholding in Singapore entity should it be given to the company or to the individual shareholders directly. So in this case you need to consider few points, and generally in these circumstances giving it in the individual name may be better because of the following reasons: that if you give it in the individual name, then consolidated reporting is not required for parent entity. If parent company takes the shareholding, then Singapore entity becomes the subsidiary. And most of the country's accounting rules state that you have to present the financial results for the company, including its subsidiaries. So that consolidated reporting becomes mandatory if the company is holding shares in any other company. And what that means is the income of this company also might be subject to taxation depending upon the rules and regulations of your home country. The second benefit is that incorporation process becomes much easier because checking the background of individuals and getting their identity documentation is easy. When a corporation is involved, you need to find it out the ultimate beneficial owners, trace them, find out percentage holding. The incorporation process in a way is easier when shareholding is being issued for individual. And the last point is paperwork for any subsequent changes is also easier. For example, subsequently in the Singapore entity, you want to change the director or you want to open a new bank account. At all those points, because of individual ownership, the process becomes easier. So as I can see, decision whether to take corporate shareholding or in the name of individual is quite a delicate one, and you need to really consider it in a fine manner. So as I mentioned, in some cases, corporate shareholding is the only way. Taking shareholding in personal names makes the process easier.
Thank you for watching this video. This video was brought to you by Epica Consulting Singapore. Subscribe to our channel today to get notified when new videos are posted.